How do you explain her?
Kobe Bryant with a ponytail. Seriously, like apex predator, great basketball player who wants to steal your soul.
They said she was too skinny, too weak to survive in the WNBA. But Caitlin Clark didn't just prove them wrong. She transformed herself into an absolute powerhouse. If you thought she was dangerous before, wait until you see what she's done now. And the best part, this isn't just about looking stronger. Clark's new physique is about to change everything.
Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA already known for her generational talent. But even the greatest shooters and playmakers struggle when they step into a league filled with the strongest, fastest, and most physical players in the world. The WNBA isn't just about skill, it's about surviving the grind of an 80-game season, battling through relentless defenders, and proving you won't be broken. Clark learned that lesson the hard way. Her first few months in the league were brutal. Opponents didn't just guard her, they hunted her. They pushed, bumped, and outright bullied her every chance they got. And while her skill kept her afloat, the physicality was taking a toll. It was obvious. If she wanted to dominate, she had to get stronger. That's when the transformation began. Fever head coach Stephanie White confirmed it. Clark made it her mission to bulk up. But this wasn't just a slight change. This was a full-blown reinvention. Her arms grew noticeably bigger, her core strengthened, and suddenly the player who once looked like she'd snap in half was looking more like she belonged in the UFC. Some say she's training like a powerlifter. Others joke she's secretly preparing for the Olympics in 2 sports. But what's undeniable is this. Caitlin Clark is no longer just a finesse player. She's built herself into a machine, and the results are already terrifying her competition. But getting stronger wasn't just about improving her game. It was about survival. Because in her rookie season, Clark wasn't just tested by WNBA defenders. She was thrown into an all-out wrestling match every time she stepped on the court. And what she endured went far beyond physical play. Caitlin Clark wasn't just adjusting to the speed and talent of the WNBA. She was fighting through something much bigger. It wasn't just physical defense. It wasn't just hard fouls. What Clark faced was an all-out war. From the moment she stepped on the court, veteran players made it clear she wasn't getting any special treatment. No warm welcome. No rookie grace period. Instead, they tested her in the most brutal way possible. And some say it wasn't just competition, it was personal. The Chennedy Carter incident? That was just the beginning. Carter straight up trucked Clark in a game, sending her flying across the court. No attempt at the ball, no hesitation. It was a statement. You don't belong here. Then there was Diana Carrington, who delivered a hit so hard, Clark walked away with a black eye.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit the face by Carrington and is down. Caitlin Clark is down. No call. Connecticut takes advantage, and Clark is still down. In pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington with no whistle.
And that wasn't even the worst of it. Game after game, defenders body checked her. They threw elbows, grabbed her jersey, and made every possession a battle. When she drove to the basket, they didn't just contest the shot, they made sure she hit the floor. When she moved off the ball, they didn't just guard her, they shoved her, hip-checked her, and dared her to complain. And what did the refs do? Nothing. That's what made it even more brutal. If this kind of contact happened to any other star in the league, there would have been whistles. But with Clark, the officials swallowed the whistle and let the chaos unfold. Some called it tough love. Others saw it as a conspiracy to humble her. But regardless of the reason, Clark was taking hit after hit, and the WNBA was watching to see if she would break. But here's the thing, Clark didn't break. She adapted. And this is where her transformation truly changed everything. Because not only did she survive the punishment, she learned how to fight back. And that's when the entire league started to feel the consequences. Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as one of the most skilled players the league had ever seen. But now, she's not just skilled, she's a physical force. And that changes everything. Before defenders could push her around, they could bump her off her spots, disrupt her rhythm, and force her into tough shots. But after her transformation, those same defenders are the ones backing down. She's not getting bullied anymore. She's the one setting the tone. Look at what's happening on the court now. Clark isn't just avoiding contact, she's inviting it. She's using her strength to create space, lower her shoulder, and power through defenders who used to knock her off balance. And it's not just about getting tougher. This new version of Clark has unlocked an entirely new offensive weapon. Before, she was nearly impossible to guard because of her deep shooting range. But now, she's a nightmare in the post. If a smaller guard switches onto her, it's game over. Clark can now back them down, hold her position, and finish through contact. And that's not even the scariest part. Her passing, already elite, is now even deadlier. Defenders used to be able to bump her and force rush decisions. Not anymore. Now she's holding her ground, keeping the ball alive longer, and threading impossible passes under pressure. She's more controlled, more poised, and more dangerous than ever. So what does this mean for the WNBA? It means the entire league has to adapt. If Caitlin Clark is getting stronger, that means every other guard in the league has to follow. Players who once relied on quickness alone are now hitting the weight room just to keep up. Because if they don't, Clark is going to physically dominate them. The WNBA used to be a league of speed and finesse. But with Clark's transformation, a new era is here. One where strength is just as important as skill. But not every star in the league is following Clark's lead. In fact, one of her biggest rivals has taken an entirely different approach. And the contrast between the two couldn't be more dramatic. Two of the biggest names in women's basketball. Two completely different approaches. While Caitlin Clark was grinding in the gym, adding muscle and preparing for war, Angel Reese was taking a very different path. Vacations, brand deals, and social media appearances, Reese's offseason looked nothing like Clark's. And that contrast has only fueled the debate about who truly wants it more. Let's be clear, Angel Reese is an elite competitor. Her energy, rebounding, and defensive presence make her one of the most impactful players in the league. But when you look at how these two spent their time away from the game, the difference is undeniable. Clark was in full-on Rocky Balboa mode, lifting, training, and sharpening every skill in her arsenal. She wasn't just preparing for year two, she was reinventing herself to make sure no one could stop her. Meanwhile, Reese was perfecting her brand. She was traveling, modeling, and taking every opportunity to expand her influence off the court. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, it plays right into the narrative that Clark is outworking everyone, including her biggest rival. And let's be honest, that's exactly why this rivalry is so powerful. For years, fans have debated who the true face of women's basketball is. Reese and Clark have been locked in competition since college, and every move they make is scrutinized. But this offseason gave that debate an entirely new angle. Clark is putting everything into her game, and it shows. She's coming back to the league stronger, sharper, and more prepared than ever. Reese, she's making headlines for all the reasons outside of basketball. Now, none of this means Reese won't have a great season. She's proven time and time again that she plays her best when the lights are brightest. But with Clark physically leveling up, while Reese seems more focused on everything else, it raises one major question: who's actually going to dominate when the season starts? And it's not just about individual success anymore, because Caitlin Clark's transformation isn't just changing her. It's changing the entire Indiana Fever franchise. And for the first time in years, they might actually be a real threat. The Indiana Fever were never supposed to be contenders until now. For years, this franchise was stuck at the bottom of the league. No star power, no playoff hopes, and no real future. But everything changed the moment they drafted Caitlin Clark. And now, after her transformation, after the offseason moves, this team isn't just rebuilding, they're coming for a championship. Clark was already the engine of the offense. But now, with her added strength and confidence, she's the one driving the entire team forward. And the front office wasted no time surrounding her with the pieces she needs to win. They built an Avengers squad around her, adding tough athletic defenders, experienced veterans, and players who perfectly complement her skill set. This is no longer a one-woman show. This is a team built for deep playoff runs. And here's where it gets interesting. Before, opponents could bully Clark. They could attack her physically and disrupt her game. But now that's not going to work anymore. And if teams can't wear her down, how exactly are they supposed to stop her? Because here's the reality. A stronger, smarter Caitlin Clark isn't just good news for the Fever, it's bad news for the rest of the league. Defenders who used to push her around, now they're the ones getting moved. Teams that used to trap her, now she's breaking those traps and making them pay. And with a more complete roster around her, she's no longer the only threat teams have to worry about. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark getting better. This is about her entire team leveling up with her. And when that happens, something dangerous starts to form, a real contender. So the question isn't just whether Clark has improved. The real question is, how far can she take this team? A transformation this dramatic doesn't just change one player, it shifts the balance of the entire league. And if Clark's rise continues at this pace, then what happens next is going to shake up everything we thought we knew about the WNBA.